Okay, let's get it back in now. Whew. But it did booger up the frame a little bit. I can see it now. See a gash there. That's just a bit of a dent, so that's not going to be structural at all, but not happy. And I put just a little patch. There was a real small hole in the floorboard, so I put a little patch over that. And now there's no zerks on the carrier bearing. That was just kind of a quick pressure wash job to get the mud out of it. I think it did okay. And yeah. It'll be fine. Okay, time to go. Bye. Okay, I've been away from the project for about a week now. I got called away on some family business and was out of town for a while, and I just haven't been feeling well the past few days. But I need to get back on this and get it going. So, well, part of it I was waiting for some screws too. If you buy stuff at the hardware store, they want 85 cents a piece or so for screws that you can get a dime a piece out of Amazon. So I'm going to try 2 or 3 different things here. My first plan of attack, and it's because I looked and looked on the internet for people's experiences with installing skid plates without the rivets, and everybody wants to use nutserts, and there's a couple of different names for nutserts, but anyway, I did a little experiment earlier. I don't remember if I filmed it or not. But a number 12 self-tapping screw is just about the right size for the rivet holes. So that's a number 12 self-tapper there. I'm going to go and make sure that I can get adequate torque on that. And if I can't get it torqued, then plan B is an M6 by 25 bolt. And it's a what they call a button head, so it's rounded. Hopefully that'll help it slip over things. But I also bought a metric tap so I can get those tapped and stuff. We'll see how much torque those will hold. Of course, for either one of those, I'm going to put some Permatex thread locker on it. It's the equivalent of the Loctite Blue, but the Permatex was about $1 cheaper for a tube of it, so I bought a couple of tubes of thread locker. And failing all that, I guess I'll have to go to the nutserts, but I wanted to avoid that if possible. So we'll load some of these up with some washers, and we'll go over to it, and we'll see how much torque I can get on these things. If they'll torque down okay, then I'm just going to go that way. So I'll be back in a minute. So we're under the rig now. We'll see. Let's see, I've already had one in here for a test. That's the one I tested before. Let's try it with the ones I bought in bulk. That torques down pretty good. And let's try a virgin hole. You know, both those bolt down pretty tight. They seem to take quite a bit of torque. I think I'm going to try those, and if I lose them, then I'll go to the number 6 and thread those and see what happens. So we'll see what happens here. So now I got to go get a ladder. I'm all by myself, so I don't have anybody to hold things up for me. I think I'll set them up on a ladder. Okay, I'm going to start with the rear skid plate because that's kind of the reverse order of the way I took them off. And one side of the rear plate has to go underneath the body panel here. And I noticed there's a bunch of rocks that are stuck between the frame and the body panel. So I'm going to go dig all those rocks out right now. And again, I'm sorry if you can't see this real well, but we'll do the best we can. But I got to get these rocks out of here. That's just not going to work. Lots of junk stuck up in there, mud. Oh yeah, there's still a ton of mud in there. But we'll work on it, get it all knocked out. Okay. So I can't imagine if you're a guy that enjoys mudding, I just can't imagine what all gets packed up all through this whole thing. You know, I avoid the deep mud when I can, but I understand that guys like to go play in it. I just can't do that to my machine. Anyway, now I got to get this plate up in here. We'll see how that goes. I gotta move the light. So that plate goes up underneath. There we go. I think that's right where she belongs. And how does she line up for the holes? Pretty close. I'll go get myself a small Phillips so I can just shove the Phillips up for some alignment. I'll be right back. Make sure you save all the original washers because you'll need every one of them. And then I'll, let's see, get this up here about right and start aligning. Let's see, which one shall I do? There. Is that how it's going to fit? What's going on? Huh. Well, it's going to look like that. Let's see. I get my tools handy. I get a washer over one of these screws. Let's see. We'll do that center one. Huh. Now, why doesn't the washer fit up there? I'll be darned. The washers don't fit in the new holes. That's not good. I better go look in my parts kit, see if they gave me all new washers. I don't think they did. Okay, I see that the rivets that go in here have a broad head that actually fit up there, and they're kind of washered by themselves. They got a real broad plate on them. So I've got a number of 1/4 inch washers here that it's about the same size as the heads of the rivets. So let's see if we get, and that one goes. Well, I got to stuff it back up in there again. There. Okay. And oy vey. Lined up. Where'd that little Phillips go? Now let's see if we can line this thing up. Gotta go over that way just a little. Alright. And push. Okay. Kind of looks like I maybe should have bought a little bit longer than an inch. Maybe 1.25 would have been better. We'll try another one or two and see how much thread we can get into it. Nope, can't use the original washers. Got to put the 1/4 inch in it. Yeah, that makes it look okay. And I'm not going to tighten them at all yet. All I'm going to do is get them all started. So the whole process is going to look like that. And I can tell I'm going to have to go to the store for more washers. So, put another one in. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that about 20 times. Okay, the rear plate went in just fine. In fact, some of the screws are even tighter. They got more thread grip than what I thought based on my little test to begin with. So I think those are going to work out just fine. One tip I would give you though is don't store these in a cold shop at night. It was probably 35 degrees in here this morning, and these things don't conform perfectly, so I think I'd let them rest overnight in the house before you bring them out to the shop to put them in. So yeah, in fact, before I torque them all down, I might even put my propane heater under here and let the whole bottom get real warm, so when I cinch them down they'll conform a little more easily. So anyway, let's start the center plate now and see what happens. I've got a few more washers left. We'll give that a try. So I better put my glasses back on. How do you like my hard hat? It's just a habit, don't know why. Probably to hide my long unruly hair. My wife wants me to cut it real bad, but I'm kind of enjoying being an old hippie again. So let's see if we can get this started. That's one. See, I have to bend the front to get it up into a lip under the steel skid plate in the front, so I'm not going to put too many of these in. Just maybe one more on each side. There we go. Nice. Put a few more in. Okay, you don't want to see me do 20 of those, so I think I'll turn it off. Okay, I'm all out of 1/4 inch washers, so let's see what size washer these are. See, the outside diameter of the washer could be 5/8. So I think I'll take my little caliper with me. It's probably going to be a 3/8 washer instead of a 1/4 inch. So I'll buy a couple bags of each just to make sure. So, okay, off to the store. Okay, I went and got some washers and had a little lunch. I feel a little better now. Sometimes I think I don't feel too well when this thing's broke down and I can't run it. So maybe having it going will cure my ills. Let's see. But time to put this side up now. Let's see how this goes. Well, let's see, maybe front and couple washers and a couple screws. start right there in the very back. There's one. And let's see. Yeah, see, the plates are just not completely conforming. So get another one on up here, I think. There's two. And oh, this is another one that's got to be slid inside the body. I forgot about that. At least I think so. Better have a look. Okay, I gotta take it back down. Now let's see if I can get this thing up here where it goes. Yeah, looks like right there. Oh, that's a booger. Try starting the front first. We're close. We're hung up right here, I think. There we go. Okay, so yeah, the left-hand side, of course, goes underneath that panel. Let's see if we're lined up enough to get a screw or two, right? That was kind of a bugger. Kind of hard on an old man's back, too. Okay, let's see, it's right there. Can we see that? Yeah. Okay, I think I've run into my first difficulty. This is the rear of the left side belly plate, and there are bolts that go here and here. The rest of them are rivets, but I got the screws in them. But this plate is so much thicker that the body piece doesn't allow me to get a bolt up in there. In fact, I got to get an ice pick in there. Crap. No, can't hardly even get the ice pick in.
Alright, I'm heading out.
Okay, we'll see you later.
I have dinner and then the gym and then I'm meeting my study group at 7
Okay.
to finish our lab. So.
Have fun.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was the granddaughter interrupting me for a second. But I got the ice pick in and get it up there and I can pull it over. Now, even if I could get a bolt in there, I'm pretty concerned that there'll be a lot of pressure put on this body plate here. This is the side plastic. So when I screw that up tight, and it's because this is a 1/4 inch thicker or whatever it is. It's quite a bit thicker than the original plate. And I think the only thing I can try to begin with is maybe elongating the hole in the body plate so that I don't have to pull it this way quite so hard. And then when I go to bolt it down, I think I'll put some heat on the plastic to make it a little more pliable. I don't want to break anything. So let's see, what am I going to do? I got to get a drill bit and elongate the hole in the body panel a little bit. Okay, so we'll see if we can elongate that hole. I'll pull it out this way. Okay, I've opened that hole up a bit. Get the plastic out of there. Yeah, I'm not happy with that part of it. there was a way I could hold it like that, I could probably get that bolt up there, but there's just no way for me to hold it. So how in the heck am I going to get that up there? Let's see, one of them's an actual hex bolt and one of them's a Torx. I don't know which one's which, but they're the same size. It's recessed, so nothing can grab the bolt anyway. So let's see if we can get that up in there now. Holy cow. There's just no way I'm going to get in there. That's bizarre. I'll get it worked out and then I'll tell you how I did it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just kind of prove that I can get that bolt up there and started. And it looks like it would. Oh, did it just snap in? It just snapped in. Yeah! Okay. No? Go on, get up there. I think that's what they call in the industry a son of a bitch. Okay. I don't know. Let's turn the camera off. I'm going to start swearing. Okay, so I think the washer was interfering with my last attempt to get this bolt in. So I've taken, I don't know if you can see that, I've shaved a little bit of the washer off. Actually, I don't even think there were washers on it, but since I've elongated that hole, I really do want to get a washer on it. So now we're going to try it again, see if we can get it in there. Okay, so now what I've done is I've pulled that in as far as I can get it and jacked it up, put a lot of pressure to pinch everything together to hold it still. And I don't think it moved. And now will I have... son of a gun. You bastard. Okay, here's the next big tip. For the rear bolt of the belly pan, make sure you put it in first. I had to disconnect everything else, stuff my ice pick up there. I got to tell you, this is really turning into a pain in the ass. If you can afford to pay somebody to do it, just pay them. I've had to take things on and off a couple, two or three times. Things don't line up really well. There's a couple of places, for instance, that I've had to trim. I've had to trim a little off of this area right here. I don't know if you can see that, but I've had to trim a little off that. It stuck way over where it wouldn't let things mate up there. Let's see. Getting these rear bolts, let's try and get some more light on it. These rear bolts here are a real pain in the ass. Since it's 3/8 of an inch thicker, things don't line up real well, and you really got to pull or push. Maybe with two people it would have worked out okay, but to get the rest of these bolts, the body panel bolts back on, I've had to take and put one of my ratchet straps on it to pull things in tight enough. Also have to put a jack under it and lift up a little bit because the plastic is bowed enough that things aren't quite wide enough when it's bowed, so you have to put some pressure up on it so it expands out. Anyway, I'm getting closer now. It's been a pain in the ass. Not sure how my number 12 coarse threaded screws are going to work out. A lot of them seem to tighten up real nice, but I'll have to wait for the very end, and when I go retorque everything, I'll make sure that they all torque down. But my tips and hints so far, get everything up there and just started. Let it hang loose. Don't tighten anything down. Get it all fitted first. Of course, that's really a normal rule for any kind of work like this, but I was hoping Can-Am had things a little more under control as far as being direct fit and lined up real well. Oh, one thing that did happen, I've lost. Let's see if I can do this without screwing stuff up. But there's a nutsert in this hole and a nutsert in that one. I'm not sure what Can-Am calls them. I worked with nutserts for a long time, so that's what I call them. The nutsert in this one came out, and don't think, well, that since it's a real big hole, I'd have to put a heck of a big tap up in there in order to tap it. But there's a hole right behind it. I'm going to drill another hole up through the frame, and then I'll tap it with an M6, and we'll get it cinched up that way. But yeah, you can see that this thing's so thick that it's different than the original, and that causes some problems with fit of the body panels. Anyway, that's enough for right now. I got to go back to it. Boy, it's hard on the back. Even up on the ramp like this, you're leaning backwards all the time to work on stuff. My back hurt like hell yesterday, but we're gonna get through it. See you later. Bye. Okay, this project's taken me a lot longer than I thought it would. I thought it was going to be pretty straightforward, and it is, but the thickness of these skid plates and the way they don't conform without forcing them to conform made it a little difficult. So let's have a look. I didn't tape as much or didn't video as much as I was going to because I got kind of frustrated, I guess. And anyway, let's have a look at what we've got now. So I put the front plate on. It might be too dark to see, maybe a little closer. Front plate's pretty straightforward. It didn't give me any guff at all. But so here's what the bottom of the plate looks like, and yeah, it's probably not going to have enough light. Let me get the trouble light, and then I'll put some more light on it. Okay, here's a little better of the front plate. It, like I say, it was real straightforward. It went right on. It just bolts right over the top of the steel plate. So here's the start of the new plate. If you remember, I told you I was going to use self-tapping screws. Number 12s are just about the right size for the existing rivet holes. Most of them bit really well, but where they didn't get a good bite and didn't torque down, then I used, there's an example right there. That's a M6, about an inch long. So I put a little X on every one that I torqued and got some thread lock on. I think the big tip that I'd come away with for this is to start back here. Give you an idea. So that's rear passenger side wheel. Where these bolts are back here, there's a hex bolt there, and a hex bolt belongs inside that spot too, but I lost the again, I'm going to call it a nutsert. There's well, it's a threaded insert that got punched out, but anyway, I put another bolt in right behind it, so that worked out real good. But you should start by making that your very first bolt, because it's the very worst to get on. As you can see, the thicker plates, get the light right, the thicker plates cause caused the body panel to be bent quite a bit more than it was, and that caused a problem there. So all of these outside body panel bolts, I threaded and tapped every one of those. Did that on both sides. Over here I had to trim a little there because things didn't line up exactly right, and they were too close to each other to get all the bolt holes in. So again, start in that corner and then put all your bolts or screws or whatever you're going to use in very loosely, get everything lined up. You saw me have to take a jack and jack up on some of the stuff because these panels don't have exactly the right shape the way you get them, so you have to get them bent to the correct shape before you can get all the bolts in. So I never did count how many of them there are, but there's a lot. Again, on this side, I threaded or tapped and threaded every one of these. So I think it come out okay. I'm pretty happy with it. I was able to get quite a bit of torque on all these self-threaders. I know that's going to cause a controversy because that's probably not the best way to do it. But I'll be checking on it and reporting back to you from time to time, especially if anything bad happens. But I think that's about the end of my report. I kind of find it a little weird that their kit doesn't include any kind of plastic for the very rear of the engine skid plate. But anyway, I think I'm done. I'll try and turn this into a movie now, and I hope it's of value to somebody. If you don't have a lift, I pity you if you're going to do this yourself. You're going to either have to jack it up and stand it straight up or tip it over on its side or something. But I'm here to tell you, it wasn't a lot of fun. It took me a lot longer than what I thought it would. I had a sore back from leaning backwards too much all day long. If you can afford to pay somebody to do it, do it. In fact, I did find one video on YouTube of a shop that had done this, or maybe it was just a bunch of buddies with a shop, and they did a X3 or some such thing, and they called it the Project from Hell. And that's just about what it turned out to be. But anyway, I'll keep an eye on these screws from time to time, and I'll let you know if they work out or not. But putting nutserts in every one of them, I hated to drill into the frame big enough to put 1/4-inch nutserts in it. I just didn't think I wanted to take that much steel. Didn't want to take that much steel out of the frame if I didn't have to. So we'll see if these screws and everything hang in there. So anyway, I hope you got some kind of information out of this, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.